It's been a couple hours since the Saints announced their final roster cuts and got it down to the 53 man. Some surprises, some stuff we fully expected, and a little bit in between. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So that's a list of the cuts right there. Kind of falls in two categories. You got players waived; those aren't the vested players, which I think they need 5 years total to be vested. So those are the guys that have to clear waivers, and if nobody claims them, then we can bring them back. The vested veterans, you actually terminate their contract completely, and they become free agents immediately, and somebody can sign them. And if nobody does, you still have a chance to bring them back at a later date. I think this is new as of 2024, but I'm not sure because I know there was a lot of changes in this. In the IPP, bring that up. As far as I can tell, after going to the NFL website and trying to understand the way they like to write rules, the best that I can figure out, the changes in 2024 to the IPP is exemptions only on the um, practice squad. So you get a 17th spot for your IPP player that still go through the process. They have to clear waivers, and then you bring them back on your practice squad. If someone, and again, this is the way I'm reading the way they have it written. If someone claims him, if a team were to claim Smith, they don't get an exemption, and it's automatic to their 53 man. So they would be literally claiming a guy that kicked his first American football about a year ago, and on top of which this DA said something about, oh, he had a little groin tightness Friday. That's why he didn't kick Friday's practice, and we didn't use him on Sunday. That may or may not be true. That just may be another little extra incentive for someone to go, hey, don't claim our guy. Also, it looks like the exemption does apply to the 53 man, as far as I can figure, once again, because you can bring him up to 3 times to your active roster. So 3 weeks out of the 17 weeks of the season. And it seems to be the exemptions there. So for those 3 weeks, you would technically have a 54 man roster. So the players waived. I think there's a couple names on there. Bradford, possibly Shaq Davis, Azerum, definitely. Fairchild, definitely. Heflin, Hergel, definitely. I think those are all guys they're looking to. John Charles, definitely. I think that's a Caboti. Let's not forget about him. That kind of little group of players, about half that list, I fully expect they're going to try to bring back on the taxi squad. The vested veterans, Amani's not a huge surprise. I thought he could eke out that last spot in the defensive back room. Didn't work out for him, but they kept Rico Payton instead, which I don't really have a problem with. Johnathon Abram, that one shocked me. I didn't think any of the three safeties fighting for that last spot or starting spot really distinguished themselves. But I thought of the three, he probably had the best shot at being the top guy of the three. And him getting cut, that one caught me off a little bit. I think everybody else, Kaliki Hudson, a little bit of a surprise because I just wasn't sure of the health of most of our linebacking core, but I guess they're figuring, well, they'll all be healthy by week 1 if we need them. Lemieux, along with Hergel, I figured at least one of those guys would stick around on the 53. Neither one made it so far. Robinson, I think he and Caboti, if they'd actually opened up the running back spot after Kamara and made Jamal Williams compete for it. So I think Mims earned his spot, and I think one of those two would have had a shot at bumping Williams too. Just never materialized. So overall, I like a lot of the stuff they did. Question a little bit. Rolling through, putting Hill with the quarterbacks, no surprise there. We knew which 4 were going to make it. Running backs, just talked about it. My first impression is Jamal Williams should have been competing for this job. He should have played on Sunday, and let's see how he would have stacked up against the other 3 running backs. So I just really, really have my doubts about him making the 53 so far. Wide receiver, We knew the top three were, especially for the fact that they didn't play Sunday. Shaheed, no injury designation, and it sounds like he's going to be back week one. Perry kind of felt like he played himself for sure on the roster as one of the six. Means was pretty close. And Tipton did a lot before the preseason game started, and that's when he got injured. He didn't play at any of them. So you kind of thought Means and Tipton might have had a shot. Um, maybe the practice squad if they thought they could get him through waivers, but I don't think they felt too comfortable about that. But the way the back end of the receiving core worked, injuries kind of kept hitting that spot. So they were rattling around. Very few guys were healthy for all of training camp and able to take their reps and their snaps. And again on Sunday, the chance to kind of separate themselves. Perry Means did somewhat. I thought St. Brown squeaked out that last spot, but went to Tipton, which DA today in the press conference said Tipton had kind of earned that spot before preseason games started. So the fact that he didn't play in one, didn't say this, but I'm also inferring from that conversation going, hey, nobody else did anything better to impress us more than what he had done already. This one shocks me. They're only keeping 8 right now. I got to think they're going to be trying hard to add someone over the next couple of days once they process the waivers and cuts and figure out who's available. I felt like even keeping 9 with Hergel and Lemieux on it off the 53 I threw out the other day, and the fact that I thought if Saldivari makes this roster, it was going to have to be with some type of injury designation, which didn't happen. DA was asked about it today, and he said, yeah, we're expecting him back, basically. So you keep an 8, but I just kind of feel like this offensive line right now is kind of just patchwork being held together by, fishing line, duct tape, and Gorilla Glue. And I don't know how much this is going to hold up. Tried to be positive. It's looked good at times. Individual players have looked good at times. At times they've looked bad. I think you're okay with McCoy. I think you're pretty okay with Ruiz. I don't think you got too many worries there. Fuaga's a rookie. I think he's going to be okay, but he's a rookie. There's going to still be some on-the-job learning going on there. Less confidence once you start getting down the rest of those names. So I'm not so sure Uda isn't the best option at right tackle, to be perfectly honest with you right now. So I feel like there's got to be some help coming here over the next couple of days. We'll see. As far as keeping 8, and I am not about to go back and grind up over the last couple of seasons, but DA said, since we've been here, we pretty much keep 10 to 12 players between the 53-man and the active roster. And we know some of those guys that we just talked about that are sitting on the waiver wire right now, the linemen, they're going to be back here. So I guess in their mind, it'll still be 10 to 12, but 8's light right now, especially when you're looking at the names on that list. So we'll see. Tight ends. Holker won the battle for the last spot. Fairchild. I kind of suspected this. It was him or Fairchild, and then the one who they thought they could get through waivers and back on the practice squad was the one that was going to get waived. Turned out to be Fairchild. Jacobson got cut after making some early noise and looking good. DA said, we don't base it off one game, but his play Sunday was just so bad. I was like, yeah, I don't know, but maybe they bring him back. I don't have a clue, but so far I'm comfortable with these 3. Irv Smith was cut, and he was in Minnesota with some of the members of this coaching staff. It's an outside chance he could be a veteran that's getting brought in here. But for right now, I can live with these 3. There could be some improvements coming there. We'll see. Okay. We knew we were likely going to get stuck with Turner and Foskey on this. Okay. Get it. Necessarily not liking it, but I get it. Saunders, they said, has a calf injury. We knew about that from Sunday, but no injury designation so far, so thinking he's going to be around for week 1. So keeping 10 kind of shocked me. With Vickers and Boyd both making it, Figured Vickers or Heflin, one of the two, had to take that last spot. But Boyd being added also, just kind of curious about that because I'd have thought you could have gotten him through waivers and back on the practice squad to continue developing. They kind of talked about up and down. He's been all training camp, kind of played out a little bit from Sunday, I thought. But he's done some good things. He's got some good things on tape also. So maybe they're close. He's closer than was expected, and maybe they'll continue to develop him. I don't really know. Or this may be a guy they may try to sneak past waivers a little later on, close to the start of the season when they add somebody else. I gotta think they need to add at least one more true edge player that can run at the fourth spot on the edge or the third spot on the edge when Cam's going to be kicked inside. I'm just not buying they're going to roll in with Foskey and Turner and expect great results from that. Linebacker, I've been liking this room. Top three, we know who they are. Orgy really put his foot down and his stamp on the first, primary backup. DA talked about that as much as he's grown last year since they brought him in because I believe he was an undrafted free agent last year. Grown leaps and bounds. Finally has an understanding of the system. Finally has an understanding of what they ask him to do and what he needs to do. Worked really hard this offseason. Has the playbook and the scheme down. Is athletic as hell and has managed to stay healthy so he and work through all three linebacking spots on the defense. So I like having young, versatile, smart linebackers like that are athletic. So he's earned a spot. Ford and Jackson, the only reason why they surprised me is they kind of both had some injuries, comeback injuries again over the last couple of weeks of camp. Again, no designation, assuming they're going to be healthy. I've kind of liked what I saw from both of them so far. Probably need a little bit of development. And other than maybe Hudson, just because of a special team ability, if one of these guys drew an injury designation or they were going to try to pass him through and get him on the practice squad, I think he was the only other real option. I think Rice and Rose have potential, but not on 53. Yeah, we talked about Abram not making it. JT Gray locks up a spot, but right now you're only playing three safeties, so you basically have one backup. So as it stands now, Gray's liable to get some play there. Our top four corners, again, no injury designations right now. So assuming they're all going to be there week one and ready to go, which that excites me greatly because that'll be another great room on this defense. And then Rico Payton making it. Young guy, he's made some plays. He's looked good. He seems to be a very smart player, seems to be around the ball a lot. Impressed the hell out of a lot of people in training camp. I think just most people thought because he was basically another undrafted rookie, he had a slim shot at making this team, but he gets the nod over likely Amadi or John Charles. So kind of happy for it because I really liked the guy. I really thought every time he was on the field, he made you notice him. He did some stuff. So good. I'm good with this one. I'm actually kind of happy about it. Specialist Groupie and Woods. Hayball beat out Headley. I look, as long as the Saints were being honest about the competition, I think we all kind of knew the way that turned out or was going to turn out. So I don't have to get upset about it and rant. Hayball won the job. And real quick, Brewer, Heron, and I believe Raider have all been sitting on an IR injury designation through the last couple of weeks. So they're still there, haven't done anything with them. Add Kendre Miller, and I think that was the only chance in heck he was going to be able to make this roster is with an injury IR designation. And they threw it on Peterson, the defensive lineman they just signed last week. So sitting there, and Rajon Wright, I think I read today on Twitter, it sounds like that injury he suffered on the first drive against Tennessee was turf toe and looking like he's getting surgery. Definitely done for a while then, possibly the season, which just kind of sucks for him. But I think he's one that won't be coming back, it looks like. Pascal, Ramczyk, Sewell, nothing really going on there that we know. We know Ramczyk's not playing definitely this year. possibly never again. Sewell, not a lot talked about. Passing out initially when the injury was mentioned about tearing the Achilles, made it sound like he had a shot to come back, but nobody's talked about him lately, so I don't know what's going on with that. And to be honest, the injury designations in the last couple of years have undergone a couple of rules. I don't even know what it is anymore. Who can come back, who can't, the way they're structured, when can they do it, when the Saints have to declare it, any of that. So that's just a list. I'm figuring over the next couple of weeks we'll get all the particulars about who, what, when, and where, and who's lost for the season and who has a chance to come back. That's just the quick review of kind of what happened today. To really over the last 3 hours when the official list was released and DA spoke to the media. So there's just my initial kind of reaction, conclusion to draw from this. You know, we talked about there were some surprises. There was a lot of no-brainers on there, the way it turned out. I mentioned this the other day, my 53 man, and I don't feel any different now. I don't quite know if this is a 53 true NFL caliber roster. I think we may be a couple spots short. That may change over the next few days. DA mentioned scouting guys, the personnel department guys, and all have been working hard. Last few weeks, he's talked about this a couple of times, getting a list together of the other 31 teams, 90s, and now that they have that information of who's waived, who's cut, whose contracts terminated, whatever, who's going to be available, and have an idea of who they're going to try to target. He said tonight that's definitely the coaches and those personnel people are going to get together and then really start taking an overall look at who's available, who they might be able to get, and the current roster and how all that works out. So I expect some changes coming off this initial 53. I don't think this is anywhere, shape, or form. By Labor Day, I'm thinking we're going to see some changes on it. So give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. Also in the comments, y'all been keeping me busy lately and on my toes, which is great. A lot of good stuff in there. So keep them coming. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more when we're talking about the roster. Y'all had me spinning all day every time I came in here to kind of check on them because I knew there'd be a lot. Y'all had me running. So good job with that. If you're new here, go ahead, please hit the thumbs up for me. Hit the subscribe. Share it with whomever you can. And go ahead and throw comments down there too. Let me know which you're thinking about the roster in the current state. Definitely want to keep the community steadily growing, and more participation we got, the more reach we have, the more we can get out to people and come together and have a lot of fun talking Saints, if nothing else. So I'm Tim. Till next time. Peace out. Who dat?